So I'm not really sure how this video is going to end up. I tried putting the phone sideways and I did a test and it looked kind of weird. So I'm just going to do it straight up. Hopefully it's not an issue. This video, this is your boy Officer Clay, making hopefully a short video about my experience with 9/11, my personal experience. I'm going to try to keep it under 5 to 7 minutes, but there's no script, there's nothing written, so it'll just be based on memory and it's going to flow the way it flows. So I've already killed about 45 minutes. I'm going to get into it. So in January of 2001, I joined United Airlines as a flight attendant coordinator. So we were on in onboard service is what they call basically the flight attendant department of United Airlines. I was an admin coordinator, which means I handled administrative duties and issues for flight attendants. So if they needed a leave of absence, if they needed to take personal leave, if they needed to start their process of retirement, anything that fell into that administrative arena, I was responsible for. Me and another small group of individuals, maybe 10 to 12 of us total. So we were under a supervisor, which most supervisors were in the actual domiciles, which is the home bases for the flight attendants. So we were like right under them. We would do those processes to alleviate the workload of the supervisors. Pretty good position. Um, Provided direct customer service to flight attendants only, not passengers or anything. And United had the most flight attendants out of any airline in the industry. I want to say that it was right around 40,000 all over the world. Narita, Japan, Hawaii, London, Heathrow, several places all over the world. At any rate, great position, pretty decent pay for that time. A lot of perks. I could trade off days to other employees. If I find 5 different employees who would each take two of my days, and then I can add my actual days off, I could be off for like 16 straight days and use my flight benefits to travel. Use my discounts on hotel rooms to stay. Or if I wanted to stay at a resort, we had discounts on resorts. I want to say that they even partially or wholly own their own resorts, rental cars, anything travel related, you got a hefty discount on. Even flying on other airlines. If for some reason United didn't get you close to where you were going, you could fly on another airline for 50 to, I've seen up to 80% at that time off. Of course, this is 21 years ago. So what made me think about my experience there is waking up today forgetting that this is the 21-year anniversary of the 9/11 incident, and then just seeing the different news articles related to it. So fast forward to September, I had a nice 16-day trip where I was going to visit 2 different countries set up right around my birthday. I had already made arrangements for my housing. Everything was pretty much set. I was just at this point saving money for it. We had garnered a very great relationship with our flight attendants. We're serving the entirety of, like all 40,000 of the flight attendants at that time, if my number is correct. So September 10th, I work normal, completely normal day. Nothing out of the extraordinary happened. And, I think I went out that night. I came home because I didn't start till 3 o'clock. So I would wake up right around 12 to 1. I'd be ready in like 45 minutes. I would leave out. It'd take me less than an hour to get to work because I was living in Chicago. I was working at the world headquarters, which was located in Elk Grove Village, I think, um, Elk Grove Village, Illinois. So it was like a 34 to 36 mile trip. And depending on traffic, I would get out at a decent time so traffic wouldn't be much of a factor. I'm already over 5.5 minutes, so I'm going to try to wrap it up soon. I got a phone call, and at that time, answering machines were still, kind of relevant. So it didn't go to voicemail like, most people today are used to. So my answering machine went off and it would play your message out, and then you would actually hear, because it's answering the call basically, you would actually hear the message that is being left for you. So I'm in a half sleep stupor. This is like after 8 in the morning, when the first plane hit the tower. I don't have any, knowledge of what's going on at all. I'm not watching the news broadcast. So my mother called me and told me, and at this time I'm only assuming that this must have been the thought process of most Americans at the time, that a plane crashed. So she called me and she said, "Hi, I wanted to let you know that one of your planes crashed this morning. It's on the news, so when you get a chance, you can turn it on and watch it." So I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm thinking more than likely at that time of day, it's not just, a plane being, reset someplace. So it's a crew, and it's probably a significant amount of passengers. So I'm just wondering, as I'm waking up, like I said, I had gone out the night before. So, it's a little rough time waking up. And I'm like, okay, oh man, flight attendants are going to be calling. They're more than likely going to be scared. It's going to be an emotional event. I'm thinking, even the ones that weren't, directly related to it, they're probably going to start thinking about, the dangers of same thing that I go through, when a police officer is murdered, um, or loses their life in some type of tragic event. The same thing that goes through, the minds of probably most law enforcement. So I'm just trying to go over in my head how I would respond to it, trying to be encouraging, as much love as you can pour through, because I'm working out of a service center, so they're calling in. As much love as you can pour out through a phone call. I'm considering how I need to be, how effective I'll have to be in supporting, was basically my work family. So as I'm mulling over this, I'm, fully awakening, and I decide I'm going to turn on the news. So the news is kind of all over the place. You're switching through channels. It's being covered by pretty much everybody. Folks are, kind of giving their theories. It's starting not to look like, just an accident. And during the course of me watching this news coverage, I actually personally witnessed the second plane hitting the adjacent tower, and it's, to me, not looking anymore like an accident. Immediately, I'm thinking this was a purposeful event. Who, why, and how is my questions now. So as the news is coming out, of course, you're starting to get a clear picture, but this takes time. So I'm watching it. I can't go back to sleep. So, I'm following, I'm watching it. I don't remember any news coming out from United as far as, like, how it's going to look during the workday. So as I'm getting ready, hours later, I'm still watching realizing that this is more than likely a terrorist event. I'm over 10, sorry. And that, I'm not knowing what to expect. So I arrive at work, and every law enforcement agency, locally and federally, has a presence upon the campus of the world headquarters building. And I am blown away. They're searching every single car for every employee that's coming onto the campus. And when I say a search, like if you're going onto a U.S. embassy or something like that, a bomb search using the mirrors up under it, you're opening your trunk, your doors. I believe that we got out of the car and they looked through it as well. Then you were allowed to go in. Of course, you have to have your ID in order to enter. And when we get in, we're having a meeting, so we're getting some details that probably aren't available to everybody in the public at this point, of what they know so far. Um, it's Cyrene, it's people are in a state of shock, but they still have questions. Like everybody's wondering. There are some people who are like, hey, let's go to war. Just it's a huge range of emotions, out of all of the people, that are directly involved through their employment. We're part of the onboard service. We're not actual flight attendants, but they're our families. They're people that we take care of. They're people that we look out for. There are people that we encourage, when they're down. The calls are flooding in with requests for retirement, with resignations, just a whole lot of uncertainty. And then on the opposite end, there are people that I know, I'm listening to my fellow brothers and sisters, flight attendants, fellow flight attendants, and I understand that they're discouraged. I'm a part timer. I forgot the name, what they're called, reserves. So you have the reserve flight attendants, and they're like, listen, I'll step up, I'll fly any line, just to get us through until we get back to something that's somewhat related to any type of normalcy. I'm willing to be full time. I'm willing to work however many hours necessary. So, there's somewhat of a balance between the two. Um, so we're fielding these calls, and people are like, I can't do it. They're crying on the phones. I can't do this another day. I need to leave today, et cetera, et cetera. So, without the guidance, without the instructions, we, in our effort to encourage them, it's like, this is an event that no one was prepared for, and it's totally understandable that you would want to call it a day right away, like right today, right now. But we would like for you to for you to take some time and actually consider, um, just consider, um, you know, this has been a part of your life for so long, because we could see their origin date, their first day, um, their seniority date. That's what it's called, their seniority date. So, you've been doing this. Some of them 84. So you got almost 20 years in the game. We could place you on sick leave, give you some time to truly consider, and not just have this immediate I'm ready to go. So there's a little bug. So some of them, okay, I could do that. I could do that. So we're placing them on sick leave. I believe it may have become an official policy later on. But at any rate, so we're doing that. The ones that are stepping up, we're kind of like taking notes. Hey, this person said they'll do this. They're willing to do this. They're willing to do whatever's necessary. Um, we get the message that all flights are being grounded. Our job kind of changes a little bit. We get more direction on, where we're going. And this is all on the 11th. Um, Within a few days, we're starting to hear that people are going to be let go. And then we're starting to hear that, yes, it's going to go by seniority date. If you got less than so many months, less than a year, you're more than likely not going to be sticking around. So, of course, that makes some of the employees kind of antsy because they're like, oh man, we get through this and then, now we're going to be let go. Personally, I just wanted to help everybody cope, you know. Um, so encouragement to my fellow coworkers within our actual department of onboard service, customer service type of department, for the flight attendants, and throughout. There's people in scheduling. They got scheduled flight attendants. I think we start taking on some of their duties to give them, a break. Once flights got grounded, I forgot how it changed, but it changed again. Where we had to help out with somebody else who's like resetting the planes in different areas across the country and maybe even the world. I remember one day we were outside and a plane flew over and everybody just started clapping because we were like, okay, there was no movement in the skies for a significant amount of time. And we were all just excited to see something happen, that gave us a little bit of hope that things, could and would return to normal. Um, just a incredible period of time in my life. It actually started the transition for me to law enforcement, because 9 days later, after 9/11 took place, which was the 20th of September of '01, I still have the letter somewhere. I have to dig it up. Which was my separation letter, which basically said due to foreseen circumstances and to the financial difficulties that they were already facing. Because if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that United Airlines stock was $4.50 at the time, which is extremely low, even for that era. Um, so basically, due to that situation happening, um, and then the financial implications that are coming with it, and not knowing when that they will be over that proverbial hump, they regretfully had to let me go, because I was under that range of time that would have kept me there. Like I think it was a year. I'm not. I can't remember, but bittersweet moment. It was sweet because there was a lot of stress involved with not knowing. Everything I'm hearing is telling me that I'm going to be let go. But it's like, man, we've done such a good job. I've done this, I've done that. Um, and then you want to be a part of, for the lack of a better term, the recovery, the coming back to the restoration, um, and not of the company itself, but of the people. So I wanted to see the whole thing through, and not having that ability, that was the bitter aspect of it. But I mean, within a year, you know, I would be full fledged into policing. So something that I've loved, the service aspect of the job, something I fell in love with early on, and have been doing so, for the 2 decades. So, in retrospect, that that is what catapulted me into it, because had that not happened, I would have never left. I loved it there. I loved the benefits. I mean, they were extended to my parents, and I wasn't married with any children at the time, but had I, when I did, my parents, my children would have been able to partake in all the benefits that I had. So, in that was awesome. Um, so I would have never left. I would have never left. I would have never entered law enforcement. I would have never had the opportunity to serve communities like I had that, not happen. Um, it's extremely tragic, saddening to think about because, we had developed personal relationships um, with some of the flight attendants that were involved. Um, horrific circumstances. Something that we're 21 years in, 21 more years. It will never be forgotten. Never be forgotten. It touched home. Um, I didn't find out until I was years into law enforcement that one of our flight attendants had left law enforcement to become a flight attendant. I think had reached the rank of detective, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So just a great um, a great event, in as far as like in magnitude and in its horrificness, if I may, that will never be forgotten. And then when you have a personal relationship with it, it's even more. So I just always use that to consider the families, how it affected law enforcement and fire department personnel. Like we still have people dying from the complications of the incident, who were first responders to the incident in New York. So just, it's kind of a solemn time when you remember it, especially, like I say, when you have some type of attachment to it. Um, and I just wanted to share my story as part of this remembrance process and send my love to all of those who were personally affected, who have personal losses as a result of it. You have my deepest condolences and love, and those who are struggling through the health issues, who are my brothers and sisters in law enforcement. Special shout out to your heroic nature that's still demonstrated on a daily basis to this very day. I love you. I care about you. I don't care if we've never met or I don't know you. Your personal sacrifice to the community is something that should be adored, and I adore it. So much love to all of you. Much love to all of you who may watch this video. Spread more love, care more, hug on people more, especially our children. Um, don't teach them any type of victimhood. Teach them strength. Teach them the ability to overcome, because that's what we do. And this day to me is a reminder of where we've been and how we keep pressing and how we can keep going. So spread that message on this day as part of the remembrance process for this horrific event. Much love. Thank you once again. Like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video and on this incident and all your memories or connections to it. Thank you once again.